Wow, must be Thursday. It's Family Matters time.
Woohoo!
Kevin, how are you?
I am bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, my friend. How about you?
What are you, a bunny?
I don't know. That's just something I always heard.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I'll take it. But
Yeah.
doing well. Well, you made it through hurricane. Everything's good?
Made it through both hurricanes. We're safe and happy. Everything's groovy. I'm heading out to Colorado Sunday for a week. And, just enjoying life. Enjoying life, man. Just waking up, showing up, being part of the deal.
Well, hopefully it doesn't snow out there in Colorado. You never know with Colorado.
Oh, God. I know, right? Ooh.
I don't think you'll get the snow quite yet, but you never know.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
It was 45 degrees in June for a golf tournament in Denver. I remember one year, but and then believe it or not, we played golf the following day, and it was like 76 or 75. So,
oh yeah, no, I've experienced those 40 and 50 degree shifts in 24 hours. You're like, what the hell's going on in this place?
It affects the packing if you're from out of town, but that's all I'm saying. So, all right, well, we'll get into Family Matters. We do this pretty much every week. We try our best to stump Kevin with questions, and that's all we really got. So,
all right,
get into it, Kevin. You got anything?
Nothing. What do you got? Bring it.
We got some pretty. All right, my teenage son has severe depression and has attempted suicide twice in the last couple years. I put my entire life on hold to watch him 24/7. I'm afraid to even shower in case he hurts himself while I'm not looking. I know this level of hypervigilance isn't healthy for either of us, but how can I give him space when I'm terrified of losing him?
Wow. Okay, we're starting off.
I told you.
No warm up, huh? No.
I get right into it. I just put these out on papers and I don't order them.
No quick bucket of warm up balls or anything. That's a tough one, right? I mean, that's one of those things where you have to kind of consider what your prospects are there. And so if we're talking about someone that's truly suicidal, what I would tell you is that you got to start looking into, and this is a terrible thing to look into, but taking a look into the resources of having someone committed. If they're really on the verge of suicide 24/7, then you're looking for a mental health hold. I mean, every state has their own set of rules. Okay. So like here in Florida, we have the Marchment and the Baker. And so for someone like that is truly at harm to themselves, that's what they need to do. She needs to look into that sort of thing, depending on where she lives. My perspective would be, you can't live the rest of your life trying to take care of this person and solve their problems. Potentially they can get on disability if they're truly at a space where they are 24 hours a day suicidal. Then I would say you can probably look into disability, Medicaid, Medicare, depending on the scenario. Every state has a different set of rules. But if you're going to put that kind of time and effort into it, I would contact an attorney and find out what your options are and where to go from there, and then talk to your local county mental health facility and see what your options are there as well. So, that's the best I can tell you. I mean, I would say, having worked in that environment for 3 years in community mental health, you can't spend the rest of your life monitoring somebody else. You're going to have to bring in some help. So, and I can already tell you, I know all the arguments that are going to come back. The mental health, they don't offer anything. That's too hard. This is too difficult. Okay, well then you're making a choice to spend the rest of your life babysitting this person, and that's fine if that's your choice. But you're going to have to. My perspective would be start looking outside the box for help and what's available.
Good. And so, I'll go off script and, you just read or you hear it on the phone. suicide thoughts, suicide, and maybe even attempts. I mean, just in general, like maybe from a family's perspective, and I know everything, there's a lot more information that goes into it, but how do when someone's in destructive behaviors and addiction or whatever it may be, when you hear the word had thoughts of suicide or maybe have attempted, in years ago, like where are you within the concern rate? When is it a matter of how long has it been, or is it current thought process? What really goes into that?
There's actually like three elements to it, and again, this is something where I lived in this world for a long time. The first thing is what we call ideation, which is, so it can be anything from just saying, I'm having a bad day and I'm going to kill myself, or I'm frustrated, or I have anxiety, or XYZ, therefore I'm going to kill myself. So that's just the ideation. Okay. And then the next thing is what we call like intent, which is I have the ideation and this is how I'm going to do it. I have a plan of how I'm going to do it. And that's when, all of a sudden things start to kick in. It's like, okay, I hear you. And I mean, I've had clients say, I feel this way. I feel awful. I feel terrible. I mean, I don't mean that, but this is how I feel. I'm like, no, I get it. It's okay to say that. I'm not going to, call the ambulance on you. But then, when we start talking about, suicidal ideation, suicidal intent, and then methodology and access to the intent, like I am going to go home and shoot myself because I have a gun at home. Okay. So that's, the game's over. I'm calling the police. We're going to do a well check on you right now, or I'm going to put you on a mental health hold right now, because you've expressed intent and ideation and methodology, and you have access to those methods. So I'm not going to let you, walk out the door without that opportunity. So that's where I come from on that perspective. That's kind of how it works. It's, something that we're trained into as licensed therapists of how to approach this and how to respond to this and what to do and what not to do. And, that's really what it comes down to. And so we look for ideation, methodology and intent or intent and methodology. And if those things are being matched and created, then we go we take steps at each stage, if it's the ideation of someone expressing their feelings, and they understand what's going on and where they're at and what's happening, then we go from there. And then we started that conversation. Okay, so tell me what's going on. Why do you feel that way? Okay. And then, so do they take it to the next step? Well, I have a jar of pills at home I've been saving for this occasion. Okay. So now we're talking about another thing. So a good therapist will sort of work with the client and walk through that process.
Yeah, because it is that word. I mean, that kind of very few words kind of create fear instantly when you hear it, though. All right. My best friend is bulimic, and I've become obsessed with monitoring her eating habits, constantly checking to see if she's purging, and I feel responsible for every pound she loses. Here's the key here, too. I've gained weight myself because I eat with her to encourage her to keep food down. How do I step back when I feel like her recovery is my responsibility? And I would probably say you gain weight just on the anxiety and kind of the codependency aspect to it, if I had to guess.
I'm sorry. I think I missed the question.
So how do I step back when I mean, it's basically one of these, it's a best friend. More often than not, we get a family member, but she says, how do I step back when I feel like her recovery is my responsibility?
Okay. Got it. Now I got lost in the other stuff.
Yeah.
So, well, that's one of those things where you're going to have a heart-to-heart with your friend and just say, hey, look, I need to let you know that I love you and I care about you and I support you, but I can't be your therapist. I can't be your sponsor. I can't be the person, I can't do those things for you. You're going to have to I can help you find those people. I can help you go to meetings. I can help you find a therapist or find a program to work on your stuff. But that's not my responsibility, and I'm not trained for it. Yeah, and it's taking over my life, and it's okay to have that conversation. I mean, that's one of those conversations tend to be the ones where it kind of, your real friends are going to put the cards on the table, and just say, hey, I love you, but this isn't working for me. You're drinking too much. Your eating's out of control. You act out sexually. You do these things that make me really scared about your welfare, and I think you need some help. But I can't be the help. Yeah. And if it's really something that you find as a pattern in your life, then I would say take a long, hard look at some of the codependency programs like CODA, or potentially Adult Children of Alcoholics, depending on your individual situation and where you come from, and go after those books and go after that knowledge. Find a good therapist for yourself that'll help you with that processes and understands codependency and where it comes from, and go from there. Yeah. Perfect.
Well, we'll combine kind of these two. I could, sometimes you surprise me, but they're similar in the sense. So one person says, my 22-year-old daughter is addicted to heroin. I've been giving her money because I'm terrified she'll resort to dangerous activities to get drugs if I don't. I know I'm enabling her, but I can't stand the thought of her suffering or getting hurt. And then we also have another that I've been covering for my husband's alcoholism at work and with our friends for years. I call in sick for him when he's too hungover. I've lied countless times. I'm exhausted and feel like my whole life revolves around protecting him. How do I step back when I'm scared he'll lose everything if I stop managing his life? And then in similar, how can I stop supporting, someone when I feel like her survival depends on me? So it's a lot of similar in the sense of all three, really. How do I step back?
Well, and where do I draw the line? It's one thing to be a supporting, loving spouse and caring, but you can't spend your life cleaning up somebody else's messes based upon the fear of what if. And you have to start living in today, in the moment, right now, what's going on. And right now, it sounds like your husband is destroying his life and your life and the lives of everyone else in the family, right? So I would recommend a couple of things. One, I'm a big believer in this book, Codependent No More by Melody Beattie. And then she has a daily meditation book called The Language of Letting Go, which I also feel really strongly about, because this book, helps people on the daily just start their day with a morning, statement of like, here are the things that I realize that I need to take a look at, or it kind of just gives you a pat on the back and how to go forward. Let's see, what's today's date? Today's the 17th. Feelings and surrender. Surrendering is highly personal and spiritual experience. So try some CODA meetings, for the woman whose husband's an alcoholic and you're, spending your life managing everything and cleaning up the messes, you need to go to Al-Anon like tonight. No questions asked. Yeah. That's what it's designed for. That's just walk in there and tell them what's going on. Yeah. I would also get these books. I would also look for a therapist. So there's three things, and do you have to start making changes in your lifestyle immediately and, let him hang him out to dry? No, but the first thing you need to do is go to an Al-Anon meeting and then get these books and then look for a therapist that understands addiction and codependency and start taking care of yourself, start setting some boundaries. I would also encourage you to read my book, Chronic Hope, Families in Addiction. I think it would really help you understand, where to set the boundaries, how to set the boundaries, and how to tell the person, I love you, but I'm just not willing to do this anymore. It's everyone thinks you got to come in with a big baseball bat and start swinging. And that's really not necessary. What's necessary is to walk in the door and just be like, hey, I love you, but I can't do this. I just can't survive like this anymore. And, does it mean that their lives are going to change and things might come crashing down? Absolutely. No questions asked, So I think that is, the best advice I can give someone on a situation like that. And that definitely seems like we have a theme today. How do I set boundaries? Well, the thing about boundaries, right? The boundaries are not about the other person. They're about you. They're about you saying, hold on, I need to take care of me. I can't take care of you if I'm not taking care of me. It's the old adage, you got to put your oxygen mask on first, and then pick your favorite child and, go down the row. But that's really what it comes down to, is that you can't sacrifice yourself to help others. It doesn't work. It just absolutely doesn't work. And I know it sounds simple and I know it's hard, but you got to start somewhere. And the way I would start is at least try an Al-Anon meeting and see how it goes. See what you think.
Well, that daily meditation book is a lifesaver for a lot of families I know. But I mean, it's, you're right. Theme. We get these probably each and every week and so forth. And it's about how do I step back, and all the situations are, whether it's finances or love and attention. I mean, it's families are right in the cycle of this, the whole time. And it's just a reminder for me. It's not just the addicted loved one. It's how families alter themselves. And in most cases, like, communication seems to be the first thing that kind of gets thrown out the window. There seems to be lack of communication when you say, like, just literally sitting down with them and expressing your fears and whatever it may be. It just seems like people aren't doing the old sit down and talk with your loved one. Is that true, do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think I would suspect that they feel that they've tried that, and they're in some sense, and that they feel like it hasn't worked. But a lot of times what I find is that once they get some education on the process and understanding around it, and that it's easier to sit down and talk to their loved one. But when you sit, you're like, you're a mess. You're drunk. I'm spending my life cleaning up. And that's not a conversation.
Yeah. Well, boundaries are key. I mean, maybe the theme today, but boundaries are key. And like I always remind families, if you're going to say it, make sure you follow through on it. Yeah. Because as an addict and also someone that works with families now, nothing destroys things more than boundaries that just disappear. And when the addict or whoever is the destructive one, when they see that, it's that they set boundaries and then never follow through on it. I know I took full advantage of that when in active addiction. I knew my family may say some things but never follow through. So it's really, really important. It's truly a family disease. Hell, it's Family Matters. I mean, we very rarely talk about the addicted one or the destructive one. It's all these questions we get. You are not alone. If you're out there thinking that your situation is unique, I hope this show weekly and these questions lets you know you are not. There's a lot of people going through it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of help available if you're just willing to show up. And ask for help, and you're not alone. And that's kind of the beautiful part about it, is that you're not alone, and there are people there that want to help. So, yeah. And
the things you mentioned are not $60,000-$70,000 and so you're taking small investments. I mean, therapy, most insurance, find something in your insurance cover, books are $10 to $20. I mean, small investments, because people sometimes get in this whirlwind of like, oh, it's going to cost, I don't have the money for it. I mean, we're talking small kind of investments too. And there's a lot of free resources out there too. The Al-Anons and the
Coda
meetings you mentioned. You're suggested to give maybe $2, but if that's not even mandatory. So there's a lot of resources. Don't let your thoughts or mind tell you that it's going to be this large, expensive, time-consuming activity. So.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I mean, you can start with going to a meeting. You can start with reading the books, and you can and just start on that process, and that's going to cost you next to nothing. So
I heard you say start a lot. I mean, that's one thing that gets overlooked is just starting. Like,
yeah,
whatever it is, just start it and then follow through on it. Because, I mean, I can, how many diets have I been through in the years? I was tell you, I never really stuck with anything. So, and then I complain that I'm out of shape. So
yeah,
start it and follow through on it. And you'll find you're not unique. So you're not alone and people there to support you. So
that's the truth. That's truth.
Well, you did good. We didn't stump you, but the quest continues.
A lot of good conversations, though. A lot of really important and very in-depth conversations. So, yeah.
But yeah, like literally all of our questions were, how do I step back? How do I do, so we definitely go through themes. So we can call this the boundary show.
Family boundaries. Yeah.
All right. I'll see you next week.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later.